Welcome everybody to Coach Shark Bible Study. What is this? What week would this be, Pastor?
This will be week 5
Week 5.
because I think we hit week 4 and then we missed last week.
Yeah, either week 5 or week 6. We
Yeah,
lost count.
one of them.
We been a little inconsistent. Last week was my fault, so I do apologize. But we are thankful that y'all here, and most importantly, God's thankful that y'all here.
Yeah.
Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Pastor. How are you, Pastor? How's everything?
Good. Cold. We cold.
brutal.
For those of you that you already
been
know.
brutal. It's
For those
been
you
definitely brutal.
stuck in the snow for the last 2 weeks now. Yeah, we had enough. By the way, God, we had enough.
We have had enough.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
And everybody that is on right now, we're actually live on TikTok as well.
Yes.
So everybody that is live on TikTok with me, welcome. Me and Pastor Steven are in week 5 of Bible study. So we're here. If y'all want to stay here, we appreciate y'all. And so let's get this started.
Okay. So again, good night, everyone. Thank you for coming and checking in with us. It's always fun when we have this discussion with each other. We like to have a Bible study where it's interactive. So even if you have questions on TikTok during, and I'm sure Pat will see it and we can answer it. All right.
Absolutely.
So we'll pray first, but Lord, thank you again for tonight. Thank you for pulling us in this room so that we can learn. We can open up your word and we can be better than we were before this. We thank you so much for this opportunity to share your word, share understanding to all those that might be listening and watching. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So once again, we're talking about for the last few weeks, talking about the prodigal son. And if you do have your Bibles, we are in the book of the Gospel of Luke.
Luke.
Yes, Luke. And we are beginning, of course, it is verse number 11 to about 20.
Luke chapter what?
Luke chapter 15.
15,
Excuse
verse
me,
11?
Yeah, verse 11.
What the heck is it? All right. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yep. I'm good.
Right. And so we actually not last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. We focused in on verse number 13. Right. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off for the distant country. Remember, we spent a lot of our time speaking about places, things, relationships that's become like areas of escape.
Right.
Where we turn it into things where we escape from the reality, the truth of our reality, right? And so we talked about how these things, places, people can enable us to be more impulsive rather than telling us to, wait, I think you should slow down, think about that. They amen our worst instincts. I think we did speak about that.
Yep.
So for tonight, really, before we get into what I really want to speak about, I really want to talk about like how we all have these little vices.
Right.
I should have named it, if we're going to do the vices or virtue.
Vices of virtue. Okay.
Vices or virtue. And for those of you that may not know what a vice, hopefully you do know what a vice is, right? We have many different vices that we use to escape the truth of our reality, right? And so when we're evaluating our day, I think it's necessary for all of us sometimes to evaluate our day by saying, what do we do during the day? What has more say in our day? Do we spend more time escaping reality through our vices, or do we spend more time living out some virtue?
Right.
Do we use our vices to avoid reality, or do we spend our days building up some good virtue? And I think everyone could evaluate their days or evaluate their life. Am I spending more time escaping through my vice or living out some honest virtue?
Right.
Now, a vice can be anything, it can be alcohol, it can be TikTok.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Not for real. Everybody that's on TikTok understands.
I'm sorry for those on
Anybody
TikTok.
that's on TikTok understand it could definitely be a vice.
Yeah.
For like a virtue part, I mean, I guess it would be cliche to say, but you know, we talked about this on podcast episodes before, but even spending time where we're making time for God
Yes.
instead of having, you know what I'm saying, God be the center and
Yes.
making time for other things.
Yes.
So would that be the virtue kind of in the point, or is that just more kind of cliche and
No,
surface level?
I think where is most of our day or time being spent? Spending escaping in a vice, or living out something virtuous, like spending more time with God, becoming a better parent, doing something virtuous, being more trustworthy, being more faithful, being more reliable, improving improving as a husband, improving as a parent.
Right.
I think do we spend more time leaning into something virtuous, or do we spend more time escaping the reality of our lives through our vices?
Yeah.
You know, someone can say that when I evaluate my life, I think I spent majority of the time drinking.
Yeah.
I drunk away 10 years of my life,
Yep.
right? And I don't want to do it in the 10 years, but I do want to do it in a small way. When you think about the 24 hours in your day, how much time you spent in either your vice or in your virtue, something virtual. And I think that's what I was trying to get into. We all have these little areas of escape where we do escape the truth of our reality. And I want us to, to really start thinking about more vice or virtue.
Yeah, and I also think when I think of that, I kind of think of like what starts it. I'm sure you're obviously going to get into it, but like what kind of compounds that going into that vice, whether it could be just the most simple things of I got in the car today, somebody cut me off, now
Yeah,
I'm
right.
mad, and now I
Yep.
got to work. My boss said something I didn't like. Now all I'm thinking about is going home, drinking a glass of wine, and watching a movie.
Yep.
Something that is an escape from maybe something you have to do for school or something you have to do with a family member or a friend or your child and things of that nature. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, that then it's for us to. I have a big, one of my things that I like to do is evaluate how I spend my time.
Right.
I think we all wish we had more time.
Yep.
But I think it's not necessarily more time. It's time management.
Mm-hmm.
How we manage our time, and there are a lot of time that we use as individuals, as humans. We spend it more in our vice than our virtue. The things that are taken away from our life more than adding to it.
Right.
Enhancing our lives. So I think of more vices escapes us from reality. Virtue enhances our life. If we want to leave it like that, right? One is an escape. One is an enhancement.
Yep.
Right. All right. So this far country now, I want to make sure we try to connect tonight to 2 weeks ago, so that everyone understands where we are. That this son, the prodigal son, spent all he had, and he escaped to a far country. And one thing about a far country, we'll never get tired of it.
Right.
All of us love our vices.
For sure. We do love our vices. For sure.
We all
That's a fact.
love our vices, and our vices don't just go away because we get tired of them.
Right.
We don't stop like our vices. We'll never get tired of our vice. So what happens is that we truth somehow where our vice can no longer promise us the peace that we thought it could provide.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time what happens. Then when the distance no longer feels like, because, okay, for instance, and I know our vice makes us create some kind of distance from reality.
Right.
It never provides real freedom.
Right.
I think people in breakups that they go to, they're not free from the relationship. They just create a distance.
Yep.
Hopefully that makes sense. And I think that's we're all in a state, and I'm going to talk about this a lot tonight. Denial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I just
Good.
want to on that point is and I talked about this. I actually talked about this in my we did like a panel on TikTok and we talked
Really?
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was explaining. I would consider it a vice. I think once you, we could be I could be brutally honest. It's like once you, for me, it was being with women and things of that nature, or just having something around.
Yes.
So I would say for a lot of, all of my 20s, I always had something around.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of my 30s, but I said last year in 2025, I did like 6 months, 7 months, didn't have nothing. Like
Right.
longest period of time
Right.
in a long time, right? And I felt good about it, and I
Yeah.
felt great about it. But then finally it happens, 7 months, 7 months in, whatever the case may be, however long it was, and you get a taste of that, and it's like, it like builds
Yeah.
up to the top again, and you're
Yeah.
like, man, like I missed it, but then this is also where I go to escape what I'm doing because this and this is going on in my
Yes.
life, and this is what I work so hard to
Yes.
try to stay away from. And it's like you said, it's like, do we ever get sick of our vices?
Yeah.
That one was like an eye opener. I was like, wow, like nah, it just takes like that to get
And
right back.
sex can be a vice. Sex can be a vice where we use it as a tool to escape.
Right,
Pleasure
right,
becomes our vice, where we use it as a tool to escape the truth of our situations or whatever we're going through. The truth of our loneliness. Like although we're with somebody, we actually lonely.
Yep.
Right. We can use that as a replacement for true intimacy. We use the ecstasy of that moment of sex.
right.
Is it real? Yeah, but it's more not for intimacy. It's more for us to escape. Is it enhancing us? Is it adding any virtue? No. So then now it's something, a vice that we use to escape.
Yeah.
And it would always be there until we realize the escape no longer works.
Well, I think it also a saying, and it's a worldly saying for sure, but post nut clarity, right? Like
Yes.
that whole idea, that theory is that's where you kind of realize, like, you already know what's wrong what you're doing, but
Yep.
then after it's done and that has happened, you then wherever you're looking at the ceiling, whatever you're doing, you like, man, why did I even take this trip? Or like, why did I do this? Or why did I?
Yes.
Like, I know this didn't better me by any means. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna talk about it more.
Yeah.
See, he's doing. This is what Pat. If you didn't
Gotta
know,
get
this is what
ahead.
Pat does.
Gotta
He
get
had that
ahead.
podcast. Podcast P forces us.
Yes.
It's one of the things where we learn that when we looked at when he came to himself. That's what he says in the scripture. He has this moment, this awakening.
Right.
Now we talked about this maybe like 2 episodes ago about an awakening before he can return back home. He goes through a level of awakening, but the sad thing is awakenings only happen after you hit rock bottom.
Yep.
And sometimes I wish, why we have to hit rock bottom for us to awaken.
Right.
And I think that's the only time we come to this awareness of where we are and who we are is when we hit rock bottom.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's a lot of amens out there
Amen.
for that. That's what God used. And I want to use it as God used these moments as holy interruptions.
Right.
God uses those moments where we go through our emptiness. God uses our emptiness for us to finally get some level of clarity.
Right.
So for those of you that might be going through an empty moment, understand it's not one of those moments where you want to throw yourself away. It's moments that God uses.
Right.
God uses those moments for emptiness, all right? For clarity. All right, so let's get to our Bible then. And
It's done, Luke.
it's Luke.
Yep.
Luke, and I am in
Chapter 15?
15. We could be at verse number 13.
Verse number 13.
Yeah,
Okay.
so not long after that, the younger son got all he had, set off to that distant country. There he squandered away all his wealth and in wild living. Some of your Bibles may say riotous living, meaning wild living is clubbing, gambling. He was wild,
Yeah.
right? He spent everything. And then there was a severe famine in the whole country, meaning basically the famine in that country, wherever he was, had no food, no agriculture. Everything was dry. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to the fields to work to feed the pigs. So basically he was broke and he had to take one of these worst jobs that he could ever
Just to
have.
survive.
Right. Just to survive.
Yep.
Right. So he's feeding the pigs. He longed to fill his stomach right? And so he was so broke that he ended up eating the pig's food. That's how broke he is. He's broke, took one of the worst jobs to survive. He's hungry. He didn't have any food, so he basically adds food as a replacement for food. He's eating what the pigs ate.
Right.
But no one gave him anything. So basically, he wanted even to eat the pig's food, but he couldn't even eat that because he had nothing. And when he came to his senses, so verse number 17 is where we are going to be most of the night.
Okay.
When he came to his senses, what did your Bible say?
When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare.
Okay.
And here I am dying of hunger."
So he finally came to himself, which says he hit rock bottom.
Right.
And finally, he came to starting to think straight.
Mm-hmm.
That he now had the right mind. And so one thing that sin does, it messes up with your orientation, how you see things.
Right.
That's what sin does. And so now what God does in this holy moment, in this moment where he hit rock bottom, he has clarity. And this is what, like, I'm not sure if you ever heard of the grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
For those who
sure.
out there, I want to make sure your audience understand, and I want to use like Christian cliches, and you're not understanding that this is when God allows the grace, where all of the illusions, all of the promises, because sin makes promises, sex makes a lot of promises, alcohol makes a lot of promises, and it promises that you're going to get a certain thing until you have it, and now all of the illusions of what it promised you starts to fade away.
Yep.
And the truth comes to the top.
Yep.
Right? And so now for this young man, he stopped living in the state of denial.
Yep.
That's what we're going to talk about a lot tonight. It's only when denial breaks, not denial like the Nile River.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when denial breaks. How does denial break? Right?
Yep.
Where we no longer, it's not necessarily lying to ourselves, because many people think about denial as is you're lying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No, denial is really that the truth that is there, you can't handle it right now.
Yeah. I think what you said, though, is a great point. A lot of people think that you're lying to yourself
Yeah.
when it comes to denial.
Yeah.
That's actually a great point.
It's not necessarily denial is primary, and not necessarily you're lying to yourself. It's just that the truth that is about hitting you is happening so fast that you can't handle it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of carrying it, you say, oh my, your defenses say, okay, no, not right now. Or we say something like, it's not too bad. It's not that bad.
Deflected, too.
We start to deflect
Deflected, yep.
because the truth becomes too heavy to carry right now.
I think that's where you see it, too, where it's kind of like in points where you're like, deflection of, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
And you get that a lot. It's you're telling somebody about themselves, and
Yes.
it even could be in a candid way and not even in an angry way.
Yes.
And you get that, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
To,
We
and
get into
that's-
this deflection, and we get combative, almost in a comparison way.
Yep.
You ain't much worse than you're worse than me.
Yeah, you drink just as much, or you do this just as much, or what do you do on the weekend? And what do you do?
That's denial.
Yeah.
That's someone living in a state of denial where the truth is happening so quickly where they can't handle it.
Right.
And our body, our mind, what our mind starts doing is start to put up defenses because we can't handle the truth. It's hitting us too fast. So what we do, some people distract. They say, oh, I'm not even going to think about this right now. I'll think about this later. Some people get combative, where they compare, you're worse than me. Or they'll not even say you. They'll say, oh, but Auntie Jane,
Yep.
you can't compare me to Auntie Jane. Like, she's worse than me. You think I have a problem.
Yep.
All of a sudden, now the conversation moves off of us and turns to somebody else.
Right.
That's living, this is survival mode.
Right.
When somebody goes in, it's survival mode. And one thing about denial, it may help you survive, but it doesn't help you heal.
Right.
And I think that's necessary for everyone. Denial is great for survival. It will never move you any closer to heal. Denial helps you to function, right? But and for those of you out there, if you understand what I mean by functional, there are a lot of functional people out there, but they're not free.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Right.
Functional, but not free.
Yep.
Where they still show up to work, still do their, do their job. They have a smile on their
And seem
face.
successful and are successful in certain aspects.
Say that.
Right.
Say that. You can be successful and not healed.
Yes, exactly.
You could be successful and not free.
Yeah.
Right. And so they are functional. Right. But what happens to them, it's, for instance, as if they are going through issues, but they never address the issues. Take, for instance, it's like my car is doing right now. It has a check engine light on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Everybody know the check engine light.
The check engine, the car still works.
Yeah.
The car still works.
Something's off.
But it's letting you know something needs to be addressed.
Right.
Right. But we can ignore it and keep driving it because the car still works.
Right.
It's not it's just a check engine. It doesn't shut down the engine yet.
Yep.
And I think life is like that. When denial is in operation, where we are functional is, yes, we can be successful, but we never address the issue. And we have tons of people that we work with that are functional but not free.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between being functional and free, right? Being functional means you know how to manage what's broken. You never address it. And you don't want to live a life where you're just managing broken instead of free people. That his free people address it. Not only do they see it, but they have the courage to address what's broken.
Yep. And fix it.
I'm addressing it. Well, first of all, I'm free because I see it. And then in order to address the issue, you need some courage. Yep. Because it takes courage to address broken. And the reason why you're addressing it because you want to fix it.
Yep.
That's the difference between functional and free. I'm sure in your mind, we all have stages of where we are. Maybe some of us are in functional stage more than free.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's a question you should ask yourself.
Absolutely.
Are you living a life that's more functional than free or more free than functional?
That's good. That's good.
Think about it.
That's good. Because I feel like there's so many people that are functional with things, and we don't even realize. We don't realize. Like, even in the people that we love and with our families that we think are doing so well, or maybe look on the outside of doing so well, but they're really just functioning. And you find out things down the line, and you're like, wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Or like, I suffer from this. I never knew that. Like, a lot of things about my pops that people didn't even know is just like, if you met him, he was super outgoing.
Yeah.
Very easy to talk to, very welcoming. But he had social anxiety. And he would like fight that.
Wow.
Like, when I tell you just simple things, like, can I have somebody sleep over tonight? One of my friends. He'd be like, nah. Like, it would be an argument to get it to happen. Where some people would be like, no, or yeah. Yeah. He would like, it'd be like, nah, we're gonna go tit for tat until either you say yes or you say no. My mom would be the one that'd be like, come on, just let him have the thing. But he used to suffer from that. But anybody that ever met him
wouldn't know.
Would have zero idea. Like, literally, they were like, yo, Lance is like one of the funnest people to ever be around. Like, your dad's mad fun. Like, he's mad funny. He's
not
this, that,
knowing.
And not knowing that he's fighting the war within himself in his mind. Yeah.
So he perfected the art of being functional rather than free.
In many ways, for sure.
Yeah, and I think many of us, I don't want, to just say, Lance, this is a Stephen issue, this is a Pat issue, this is a Melissa issue, where we've perfected being functional more than free, because functional, we can push what's broken aside and not address it. We can deny that it's not really a problem. Yeah. It's not that bad. And this is what we would tell ourselves. It's not that bad because, again, denial puts us in a state of survival, but we can never be free.
I think another one I just think of is like financial state.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, like, even finances, we could be like, well, once I make this amount of money, then I'm going to change up this habit.
Yes.
Or once I do this, then I'll save this. Or once I do this, then I'll, it's like even church, right? Yeah. Even church, you'd be like, all right, tithing. Like, people, tithing makes people tighten up. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, they'll be like, all right, once I make a certain amount of money, then I'll give 10%. Yes. Instead of, this may be the last $10 I got. Right. But let me give that. You know what I'm saying? So even in that regard.
Many people, they believe that same thing with a promotion. I'll be a different person when I get a promotion.
Yep.
And they thinking that the change is always external instead of internal.
Yeah.
That there are things in you have to change first
Mm-hmm.
before you can. If you were miserable before the money, you're gonna be miserable after the money.
For sure. That's the travel.
Yeah, yes.
Like people that travel. I mean, it's beautiful. Listen, travel is amazing, but sometimes
is
people be
amazing.
like, I need a vacation.
Yes.
But that vacation is only temporary to what your issues really are back
Correct.
at home.
And sometimes we use travel as an escape.
As an escape. Yep.
As an escape from the reality. We want to get away from addressing the issues. But again, I love the way you say it. It's just a vacation.
Yeah.
Eventually, we have to come back.
Have to.
We have to come back to the reality of our relationships, of our jobs, of our families. You could only stay away so long, right? Eventually, you have to come home, right? And now you could go back to the same way of acting like it doesn't exist. The problem is not there. But I think that's what it is, why people have learned to be functional, is that the car still works, although the check engine light is glaring. Some cars beep. Some cars tell you, and we just practice, or we've learned how to ignore these check engine lights with our attitudes, check engine lights with our anger, check engine lights with our addictions.
Yeah.
We've learned how to ignore it. And what we need is now to be free, right? We have to be able to have the courage to not only see it, but to address it.
For sure.
And until you do, survival, it's great to be functional, but it can never help you heal.
Yeah.
And I think we was talking about that just, I think 2 weeks ago. There are a lot of people that aren't healed. They're
Right.
just functional.
Yep. They say they're healing, but are they really doing the work?
No, they have not. They created distance. They created distance. They allow themselves to pretend, but they have never. They're still in denial.
Right.
They're still in survival mode, and as long as they're in survival mode, they can never be healed.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So when denial gets exhausting. Just for you, everyone out there, denial is exhausting.
Denial is exhausting for sure.
It will exhaust you. The more you don't address what's going on in your life. You know what's exhausting? Lies are exhausting for everybody. There's a saying that every lie needs a lie.
It's true.
And every lie needs a lie, needs a lie. And that here's why it's exhausting. Lies are exhausting because you have to remember the lie.
Yep.
Years later. So if you ask me today what I did what I did, earlier today, and I lie about it, I say, oh, I went to McDonald's. And then you come back 10 years from now, I have to remember that I told you
Yeah.
I went to McDonald's.
Yep.
Or you have to remember that you told your ex or your husband you did X, Y, Z.
Yep.
You have to hold on to that. Holding on to lies is exhausting.
Right.
Can you imagine how many people hold on to lies and that they told 10 years later?
Yep.
10 years, that burden where they're
People that
unable
lie every day.
every single day, and you have to remember it.
Yep.
Or you're going to end up lying about the lie that you told.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
So until denial gets exhausting, and I think that's what this text is telling us, all of his means for enablement dried up. If that makes sense?
Yep.
He burned all his money. A famine came. So for those of you that's reading the Bible, that's what God is trying to say. All his systems of enablement dried up.
Yep.
And I think,
Nowhere left to turn.
you know what? This is what gets back to 2 weeks ago. Until the systems or relationships that's really enablements, until they dry up, we will stay in that far country.
Yep.
We will stay in escape.
Yep.
And what God does, and this is why we love God too, eventually all those systems of escape or avoidance dry up.
Right.
It gets exhausting. And that's what happens. And once you exhaust them, this is when awareness comes in.
Right.
Right at the end of exhaustion, this is when, so that's what the prodigal son is saying, that he comes to his right mind right after his awakening, after the consequences. And I wrote down, sadly for all of us, awakening often happens after the disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
after the breakup,
Yep.
after the emptiness.
Yep.
The wake
So
up
true.
calls often happen after you realize is something, the way you live no longer works.
Yep.
Why does it have to? Why does the awakening always have to happen after?
Yeah. And then that's where I think sometimes you may fight regret in that way because you're like, man, why didn't I figure that out earlier?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that happened to me in my last relationship. All the stuff that happened, I look back now and I'm like, it's literally one of those where you just like, you can't even explain it. You just
Yeah.
like, why did all of that go that way? Like, why did I handle it like that?
Yeah.
Why did she handle it like that?
Yeah.
Why was it like that? And it's like it hit
Yeah.
rock bottom and it had to pretty much to the point of like, can't be friends to get to the point where you like really evaluate
Yeah.
not only that, but you as a person and them as a person. And then how do you forgive that person?
Yeah.
And then you forgive that person. And now it's just different. You just looking at it completely different. And they may look at it completely different,
Yeah.
you know?
But it's always. Can I ever get to the point where my wake up call doesn't have to happen after
Right.
the consequence?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe this is a talk for a second. We get signs that this
For
ain't
sure.
working?
For sure.
Red flag, red
That
flag.
flag,
red
we run right through it. Mm-hmm. We pull the flag and keep running. That's a fact.
Throw a flag on the
Yeah,
play.
Throw the flag on the play.
Pick
and
it
just
up.
Pick it up and keep going. For real. It's so true. It's so true.
Right. Why? And that's why today when, I was thinking about, I was like, why does our wake up call, you ask God,
Yeah.
why couldn't you tell me earlier?
And meanwhile, he's saying, I am telling you earlier.
And
I'm showing you.
And he will say, no, Stephen, I did tell you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You just wasn't paying attention.
Yep.
Like your wake up call was, I told you this 7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But how long can I keep telling you something and you ignore it?
Yep.
You kept hitting, it was a wake up call, but you kept hitting snooze button.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's only when we hit rock bottom. I wish it didn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad that it does have to happen after disappointment, after the breakup, after the pain. But this is when our wake up call does happen. It's when we realize it no longer works.
Yep.
Right. So that's right now. He realized, right. His verse number 17. Let me just get back to my Bible.
Mm-hmm.
When he came to his senses of he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and I'm here starving?
Yeah.
Right? So now he's remembering how life used to be.
Mm-hmm. And even ego tripping, I would say, right? In a way, because he's asking himself about servants. Like, I feel like the way he names it, like servants, and that's my father's servants, and I'm his son.
Okay,
And
so
it's like ego tripping. Like, how do these guys be able to eat, but I can't?
okay,
I'm
so
out here with
in a
my
way,
ribs
yes. There he go again. This is what
Dumb
this
Jumping ahead.
we get clarity. So the biggest thing about denial,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the wake up call, is disappointments. When we hit rock bottom, we begin to start seeing clearer.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
True.
Although this is why people talk about they struggle when you're going through a painful moment.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts, but at least now I'm clear.
Right. Right.
So I think sometimes when we approach going through painful moments in our life, and I know it's hard to think about the purpose and the outcome and the meaning in it because you're going through the pain. But one thing's about the pain, right? Yes, it's painful, but then you get some level of honesty.
Right.
You broke up. It hurts, but then there's a level of I can see a little bit clearer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You now start to say, okay, this is what he's going through. I'm here starving, and now look where I used to be.
Right.
In order for us now to denial to end, and for us to start to have this clarity, our minds start to give us this honest comparison. Right? That's what I want to call it. We start thinking about where we were then and where we are now.
Right.
And everybody, God uses our memory. Now, one of the thing about it, we always frame our memory to be something bad. That we think that if we are trapped, we get stuck in time. It holds us captives in our history. We make our memory be something that's bad, where actually our memory is a gift from God.
Right.
Because God now reminds us, especially in things like this, instead of envious, here's what he's saying. He's saying, I'm my father's son. Now, the servants have all this food.
Yeah.
And they're servants.
Right.
And they have so much food. They can give some away. They have food to spare. Now, I'm my father's son, and I'm starving. He's remembering, wait a second. Compared to them, well, not necessarily compared where I used to be. So memory sometimes in our moments when we're going through very difficult times, where we're going through something disrespectful, something where we're going through something hateful, our memory reminds us, you don't belong here.
Right.
Do you know where you're coming from? Like, do you know who you are? You are settling from something way less than what you are valued. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think we often use our memory as just something that keeps us stuck in the past as something negative. But God used our memory to remind us, you don't belong here. You should not be living like this. Some of us have relationships that we in, and God used your memory. Not that you're comparing yourself to your ex,
Right.
but you know what a good relationship is.
Yep. And I think also that's why you say, like, being in the wilderness, being by yourself, and being alone sometimes is really the greatest thing. Sometimes, like, if you really think about it, it's that moment of clarity where you can actually see it for really what it is.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting in your memory bank of only the bad. You can actually think of the good. You can think of what like you said, what does a real good one look like legitimately, now that I'm not in this whatever you want to call it, mud, turmoil, or any of those things.
Because you could start taking on the personality and the identity of where you are.
I call it a backpack.
Yeah.
You just putting things from your relationship in that backpack, and when you leave it and you go to another one without unpacking it, you just bring it with you.
Because you think that's you.
Yeah.
But your memory, again, with this prodigal son, he starts looking back and thinking, wait a second, this is not who I am. You know, I've been allowing, for somebody that's going through something really disrespectful, somebody that's been abused for a long time, you've been in an environment where people have degraded you for a long time, right? And you're basically in the mud,
right?
And you start thinking, this is who you are. But then God used your memory to let you remind you, you know who your father is? Or you know who your identity is? You know you don't belong here.
Yep.
And we need those moments where our memory flashes to us, this is not who you are. You don't belong in this kind of situation. You need to get up. You need to get up out of this. And that's what God uses, and that's what He's doing for the prodigal son. Because prodigal son sinned, though. For sin, so let's go back to it. Sin does changes the way you view the world.
Right.
It changes your impulses. It changes your appetite. You know what I mean by appetite? It changes what you consume.
Yep.
It narrows your focus where you start to want things you shouldn't want.
Well, I think that's even the thought of, like, children into adults, right? They start off innocent.
Yes.
And that innocence becomes tighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just becomes to a point where you're like, I mean, you hear the saying all the time, like, oh my God, they so innocent. I hope, the world doesn't get a hold of them. Things are like that.
Absolutely. You hope the world doesn't change their perspective, their worldview, where they think it holistically. It's so honest. It's so clean. It's so now. Yes, at sometimes you don't want your kids to be naive either.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you don't want to be naive and going around like, oh, it's a beautiful, and then they get mugged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. You don't. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
You're right. But you do want them to hold on to this purity.
Right.
That this world can be a good place because you can get now stuck into taking on this bad nature, and this environment starts to shape you, and now you're looking at the world through this violent lens, like through this negative lens. But sin will do that to you.
Yeah.
Like it would limit you and make you think of it. Your impulses are different. Your appetite is different. You want things that you shouldn't want. You want to be places you shouldn't be. But what God wants to do is remind you, when you come to the end of yourself or come to your senses, you start saying, wait a second, life is not this bad. Right? I'm sure there's a moment, everyone had those moments, right? I'm sure, and via TikTok, and those of you that's going to watch this later on, there was a moment that you realized you were really down in something really disrespectful, something really degrading that hurt you a lot, that maybe you put yourself into it, but you got to a point in your life where you say, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I should not be here. That there is this awareness. Yes, you are stuck. It's still in the mud, but it's almost like you're lying in your back in the mud and you're looking up and saying, I have better options than this.
Yeah.
I'm accepting something far below my value.
Yeah. And then you get to a point where it's like, you get to a point where you see it, you get there, and then some people that you even love or they literally are going through it, and you want to pull them out so bad.
Yeah.
Like so bad, you want to pull them out.
Because they don't see it.
They don't see it,
Yes.
but you see it,
Yeah.
and you finally understand it.
Yeah.
It's the same where you'd be like, I remember when I was once there.
Yeah.
But it's also a gut wrenching feeling to see somebody you love go through that too, and you just can't get them out of that denial, out of that that mindset of wherever they're at.
Because you know the end result. I think, so if we talk about this story, even as the father, as a parent, he knew the son was going to take his inheritance and squander it. And he still allowed him. And we got to look at this, the father is God, right? So making sure we understand this story. The father is God, and the prodigal son is every one of us. And that God would often give us what we ask, knowing that it's going to put us to a place where we have to return back to him.
Right.
Where we have to say, that's the thing, be careful what you ask God for. Because he may just give it to you. And you may realize what you asked for is something you really didn't want.
Didn't want to get involved with.
Be careful, right? What you asked God for, because what you wanted, he realized, you realize, you know what? I really didn't need it. And you find yourself in a place where you squandered it all. You was immature. Immature, you mess up a lot of blessings.
Sure does.
A lot of relationships, a lot of jobs, and God will. For some people, He'd keep it away, and some people it's like you keep nagging me. You know what? I'm sure as your as a parent, you try to keep your son away from things that are going to be destructive or dangerous. But it's one of those things. The stove is hot. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. But then sometimes you be like, all right, you're going to see. And he touched the stove, and then now he learned. Some of us, why do we always have to learn through getting burned? Burning is, I wasn't trying to make it rhyme, but burning is our learning. That experience of being burnt becomes something that pushes us to say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. Right. And that's what God uses as our memory. He pushes us to think about what you're in. There's better options for you.
Right.
What it does is it just provides us. It doesn't change the facts, but it just gives us, memory gives us perspective.
Right.
I should say that. Like you said, you looked at that guy and you're like, I remember when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where he's going. I wish you wouldn't go.
Yeah.
Right? We can do all we can to change their mind, but then we're like, eventually, they're gonna come around and come to see that what they want. Yeah, they'll come to come to
senses.
Yeah, that's what the prodigal son.
Yeah.
He came to his senses. It's your memory that will remind you when you're going through something difficult, right? that don't forget where you belong.
Right.
I want to make sure that somebody's out there, don't forget where you belong. Whatever you're in, you don't have to live that way, because what we're in can lie to us and say, yep, this is the way life is going to be. You're going to be stuck like this. You always all the relationships you're going to be in are bad.
Yep.
Nobody's going to love you honestly. You ain't going to get somebody good.
Everybody cheat.
Everybody's going to cheat, especially cheat on you, because you're just too gullible and simple and naive. It's just who you are. No. Yeah, that's not true. God will remind you that's not only who you are, but that's not where you belong either.
Right.
Your memory does that, all right?
Right.
So this is where, his memory, Luke 15 tells you about his memory. It tells him, listen, you don't have to live like this, right? And once he learned you don't have to live like this, let's go back to our Bibles, then here's the part that I love. For all of us, we have to come to a point in our lives where he says, he came to his senses, right? Here I am, I'm starving, right? I was set out and go back to my father's house. Here's what he says: I've sinned against heaven and against you. And one of the things that we have to do, of course, denial breaks. We stop living in a state of denial. Our memory starts to shape us and tell us we don't belong. This is not who we are. But we also have to own our responsibility.
Right.
He names it out. He says, I've sinned. I think it's necessary for us, before we come to I think we've been saying this over and over for the last few weeks, there has to come a time where we have to be responsible. He says, I've sinned. And now look what he did. There's no buts in it. The son names his sin without excuses. Many of us, we like to make excuses. And I think this is what happens where we're not vague. If I mess up and I do you wrong, Pat, I'm going to say, I'm sorry for lying to you, this. I ain't going to say like, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. It names it.
Right.
It's not vague. It's not coded. It's straightforward. I've done wrong, right? And I think that's what's possible for us. We have to be able to be responsible, right? This is the difference. And now, this is not shame. This is the thing that I want to talk about, being responsible versus shame. Because some people are very self-destructive.
Yeah.
Right? They start saying, I'm a failure.
Right.
Yeah. I've ruined things. And a lot of people don't apologize or don't take responsibility because they confuse responsibility and shame. And so if I think it's self-destructive, like if I think I'm going to harm myself by admitting something wrong, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
You understand? And I think we have to separate responsibility and shame. Responsibility is our behavior. Shame becomes our identity.
Yep.
You are not what you did. You lied, but you're not a liar.
It's interesting because that's something that actually I worked on in therapy.
Oh, okay.
In that stage, just like that, where
Really?
it was, name what you did, name what you went through, name all of it, and be able to see it, and then that's not who you are.
Yes.
But that's something you carry for a while until you really, really get out of that. That's something that you can seriously carry for a while.
Yes.
Because I did that. I used to live in that shame where I'd be like, well, man, do I really do that? I've done this for that long, and I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
And you're really living in that shameful manner. And it's like, you have to get through that. You have to be able to get out of that mindset.
It's not only you. Many of us struggle with shame, and shame attacks our identity.
Yep.
Shame says this is who you are. You're always going to be this way.
Yep.
You're going to be a failure for the rest of your life. Like, this is why no one likes you. This is why you need to leave your job, because you're the reason. This shame attacks your identity, and it makes you believe what you did is who you are. Now, taking responsibility is separating that. Responsibility addresses the behavior. Shame attacks your identity.
Can shame come in humans as well, like in other humans?
Meaning,
Meaning people that constantly bring it up. Like it could be even
Yes.
your friends. It could be
Yes.
not the direct person you may have
Yes.
hurt. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But in and around it.
Yeah. There are many people. There are people who purposely, intentionally want you to carry that shame.
Right.
They want you to. They purposely allow what you did to become who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it has some way of getting into your, like, depending on who they are in your life. You know, if they have some kind of, you know, if they're relevant, if you love them, they have some kind of power. It could, like a parent, a boss, a coach, somewhere where you respect their opinion, where they have some kind of superiority, where their words carry weight. Now, if they don't really mean anything to you, they can't necessarily shame you into anything, because their words or their reputation really doesn't hold that weight in your life.
Right.
But if there's somebody that you love and trust, right, they can indeed make shame your identity.
Yep.
Where they take what you did and turn it into, this is who you are. This is why the parents that you have, parents, teachers, you know, you hear a lot of these stories about these NBA players and coaches. You know, they go through the times of their life where the teachers say, you're never going to be
Never
anything.
gonna be nothing.
You're never going to be anything because of maybe what you did or where you came from.
Right.
And we can take on the identity of where we come from, right? And now we believe we are who they say we are.
Yep.
And not to learn how to separate it. No, this is something I did. It's not who we are. And it's not only just you. Many of us carry around that shame, which is why many people don't reach out to God, because they carry a level of shame, and shame pushes us away from God. We say we're not worthy. He can never trust me. Shame pushes us away, where we mistaken what we did and we make it who we are.
Yep.
And I'm glad you even mentioned that. I think that's what it is. We have to learn how to get out of that self-destructive thinking, where responsibility is, this is what I did wrong, but this is not who I am.
Not who I am.
I'm not the worst. And I don't know, did they go through some exercise in the morning and where you have to say, I'm not the worst, I am loved.
No, it's I think it was just kind of like, at least my session, it was just kind of like breaking it down and explaining what you felt. Like what type of shame did you feel? You know, and all right, what around you besides this, what around you shows that is constantly you?
Yeah. And what around you is reinforced. Okay, so everyone out there, understand, and I love how we do this, because we are actually not only diagnosing who we are, but we diagnosing our environments.
Yeah.
We can be in environments that reinforces our shame.
Right.
That after you leave, you should ask yourself, after you leave a place, do you feel better or worse? When I'm around someone, any relationship I have, friendship, relationship, I should not feel worse after I exit.
Right. I just think of that because I always say, like, I've always been a person that thought, like, even in relationships, I need time with my guys. Like, love my girl, wherever she may be. I love her, but I need time with my guys. And sometimes women take that, or in general, people take that as a negative. But I've always thought of it as sometimes like just being around your guys, or even people that play like video games, right? Like that's like a thing that constantly, every time you walk away from it, it brought you joy, it brought you happiness, it brought you a smile. You know what I'm saying? So not to poop on women or anything like that, but it's just something that sometimes it's hard to explain that to people. Like when I come off of that, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It brings like.
But you had a lot of escape things, that your tools. Right. So I think as you get older, as you're older, you understand that there was a lot of little vices that you use as your escape from addressing the truth of your reality. There are people that want you to have shame as your identity, where where relationships where they turn what you did into who you are.
Yep.
Where they're unable. Good relationships know how to address, make you responsible over what you did, and never turn it into who you are. You're just no good. You these parents that you hear, you're no good, just like your daddy. It's like a gene that I'm passing down. You have this no good gene. It's in your gene to be no good.
Yep.
They turn what that man did, and now it becomes a personality or identity that the child takes on, and it makes that child who they are.
Yeah.
And now they develop this level of shame. That's what I'm saying. Any relationship that you're in, for anyone out there, if you're in a relationship and they make shame your identity, where you know the difference where somebody's mad at what you did, but now they're mad and they're making you believe this is who you are. Like you'll never be good. You can't get better.
Can't get better.
You're always going to be a liar. You're always going to be a cheater. No, I cheated, but I'm not a cheater.
Yep.
It's understanding the difference. And I always believe some people rather burn down the house rather than to fix the bathroom. It's just the bathroom the issue. So, and going to counseling sessions is what for marital couples, one of the things that I always try to let them do is address the issue. Don't burn down the whole house because that alarm, the alarm need a battery.
Yep.
But some people would tear apart burn down the house because they're beep, beep. It's annoying, but all you need to do is fix the battery. Put a battery in the smoke alarm, not burn down the house. Some people will burn down the whole house because the smoke alarm need a battery.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is that we have environments and relationships where people they don't make you responsible over what you did. They make it something shame. Or they'll shame you into an apology. They're and you feel terrible.
Yeah.
And I think all of us should evaluate our relationships wherever we are that it forces shame as your identity. We need to leave those places as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Right? Because the longer you stay, the longer you might believe it.
And the longer it takes to get all that off you.
You stay stuck, just like the prodigal son. You stay stuck in this mud because you start to believe it. Maybe I deserve this.
Yeah.
Maybe my actions, there are those people. This is what I deserve.
That's part of my life that I've dealt with, where it's like I've gone through certain struggles or certain things where I'm like, man, it's not even that. It's not even me. Like, how is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Like literally, like, how is this happening to me? And then you sit there and you again feel sorry for yourself and be like, man, do I deserve this? Because like what I did in 2014, like, do I deserve this in 2026?
Yeah.
Like karma and this and that, like. Why? Like, no, I pay my dues.
Yeah.
Why am I paying extra? You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
You know?
And you'll talk yourself into that.
Yes.
I've
done it.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Talk yourself into staying down. For somebody out there, you have talked yourself into staying down.
Yeah.
In any effort to get up, you make excuses why you shouldn't get up. You say this is who I am. My mother told me I was no good. My father told me I was no good. The people around me told me I was no good. I don't deserve better, right? And that's shame now has become your identity. Where you believe it's who you are, and that's a place we should not ever say we deserve this. No, these might be the consequence of my actions, but I don't deserve the worst.
Right.
And that it's for us to make sure we get up, because if we don't, that environment start to reinforce and make us believe, right? This is why I love the timing of this, that he came to his senses and said, I got to get up. Once that alarm go off, once that alarm go off in your mind that this is not where you belong, this is not who you are, I think it's for us to act on it.
Right.
He didn't lay in it another day.
Right.
And some of us we get real comfortable in staying down. We roll up the covers and we're like, we roll over in depression and anxiety. And I get it. I do. Sometimes it's hard to get up.
Yeah.
But some of us relax in it. And I don't think we should make our bed in it. I think we should fight as much as we can. I know it's very difficult, but I do know some people that relax in staying down.
Yep, for sure.
It becomes part of their story, becomes part of their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to happen, right? So he came to himself, and we're done. We're really done. He came to himself, and then the next time we talk is the response he receives when he goes back home, right? But all of this has to happen before an apology happens.
Right.
You have to break free from denial, right? All the promises that you had, you got to go through the pain. And then after all of this disappointment, you come to yourself. Then you realize, oh my God, I should not be here. But then you also have to be responsible. I messed up.
Yep.
I'm not a mess up,
But I messed up.
but I messed up.
Yep.
Then you can move on to the next phase of returning back to, your loved one or saying sorry. But that's next week.
Absolutely. Pastor, first of all, man, another great word,
Yeah.
another great session. I just want to say thank you. Everybody that was in here on TikTok, I do appreciate y'all for being here. I hope it helped you guys. And then obviously the episode will be out tomorrow. But man, that was just a great word. I think it's timely for a lot of people. I know it's timely for me.
Yeah.
In the time that I'm dealing with right now. It's just realizing and understanding what you're going through is not who you are.
Yeah.
What you're dealing with is not who you are. But there may be some alarms going off that you need to address. There may be that bathroom that you need to fix. There may be that battery you need to put, in the alarm. And, I do appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir.
And that's another episode of Bible study.
Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next week. So thank y'all.